Good morning everyone, how is it going today? Today I'm going to be showing you how to convert an HTML template into a WordPress theme, okay? We're going to try to do this as quickly, and as efficiently as possible, but this is going to be more of a walkthrough of all of the process, so that you can see all the possible errors that can happen. And I'll be doing this like live with you right now. So I'm not sure what errors we're going to encounter, but the idea is that you will see everything that you could encounter in a real world situation. Okay. All right. So two things before we begin. We're going to be using a boilerplate for WordPress. What a boilerplate for WordPress is, it's an empty theme that you have an empty theme that you have that you're going to modify in order to adapt it to your new template. Okay, so it's an empty theme, and the boilerplate that we're going to be using is this one right here. It's called Our Awesome Theme. If you would like to know how to build it, you can watch my previous video about how to use Webpack on WordPress, in which I just basically created this boilerplate. And the good part about this one is that it already has TypeScript and SASS support and Babel support, if I'm not mistaken. So you can just start coding on it and it's going to be like completely compatible, and you can use SASS and TypeScript. If you want to know how to build it, you can check my video on Webpack 5 and WordPress, or if you just want to download the boilerplate, you can download it on the link in the description. And what else? And yeah, so you need this boilerplate, and of course you need an HTML template that you want to convert into a WordPress theme. So how do we do that? Good question. So that's what this is all about. So first of all, we're going to have to use an HTML. We're going to have an already HTML template finished. And I don't have one right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right here to html5up.net. What this website does is pretty much it just allows you to download free templates, HTML templates, that are completely responsive, and that is pretty useful, I think. So I'm going to be using this one, Hyperspace. Let's see the demo. You have the desktop version. As you can see, this one right here is the front page, and you have a desktop version. You have a tablet version. This is just all the breakpoints, and so it allows you to see that this template is actually responsive. Okay, so in case you don't know what responsive means, is that it adapts to the size of the screen. So yeah, so let's download this one. I'm just going to download it, and the good part about this website is that it's free, and some of the templates, if I'm not mistaken, they do require that you attribute the template to the actual person who created the template. So yeah, don't forget to do that if you're going to use this for commercial purposes. All right, so now that we have it right here, just going to open it, and all these files right here is what comes inside of that. And as you can see right here, we have an index.html, which is pretty much the front page that we were looking at before. And we also have, what else do we have right here? We also have generic HTML, which is the page that we're going to be using for our posts. For our single post. And we have an elements.html, which is kind of the guide that we can use to style our components. So that's pretty convenient too. I'm just going to close all the other tabs. There you go. And there you go. So let's go right into our website. This is the website that I have, and I'm just going to give you a very quick tour of the boilerplate in case you haven't used it before. And in case you haven't watched the previous video, if you have already watched the previous video or you know how this boilerplate works, you can skip this section of the video. So what you can see right here is the front page, and you can see it's very clean and empty, so there's nothing in it. And that's how it works, because we have our awesome theme. You know what, I'm going to show you how to access it from the beginning. So to access it, what we're going to do, I'm running WordPress in a local machine, using local by Flywheel. The convenient part about local is that you have a side shell in here. You can just open it, and it comes with WP CLI installed, Composer, PHP, and MySQL. So that's convenient. And right here, it opens directly in our WordPress installation. So all of these files are the ones that would be in your server. So you know. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get into the content. We're going to go to themes. And here, right here, you can see that you have all your themes. This right here are folders, and this right here is just an empty index.php that we don't use at all. And this right here is my boilerplate. Okay, so if you download the boilerplate from GitHub, on the link in the description, you're going to get this folder exactly like that. So you can just copy it inside here, and you can set it up and running and get it up and running. So there we go. Also, what else we got in here? Let me show you how this looks. Yeah, all right, so there we go. Now I'm just going to open this awesome boilerplate. There we go. I'm just going to open this awesome boilerplate in VS Code. So there you have it. So this right here is the boilerplate, and how it works basically is that we have our source files right here. We have SASS and we have TypeScript, and we have all of this. I mean, of course, you're not going to include Enqueue a SASS file into your WordPress theme, so, or a TypeScript, because I mean, web browsers have no idea of what SASS or TypeScript is. So what you want to do is you're going to want to compile this into minified versions of SASS and minified versions of CSS and JavaScript. And that is what Webpack does. And my Webpack that we created in the previous video is down here. So all you have to do right now is open the terminal and type npm run watch, and that's basically going to take these files and compile them into main CSS and main.min.js, and these files are already enqueued into our WordPress. Okay, so there's no need to do anything else. So everything you put inside here, it's going to be added into your WordPress. So that's convenient. What else are we gonna do? Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So let's get right into it. Oh yeah, just to show you pretty quick also the scripts. And the scripts are here. And so my scripts, I created a watch script and that runs Webpack, and it just pretty much just allows you to keep an eye on the files that you're using up here. And if you modify one of these, for example, let's say that I modify this one to body background color to red, and I hit save. I haven't touched anything, but because I'm running the npm watch, this right here already automated and already included background color red. So no need to there's no need to run the compiler. It's going to be done automatically. Okay, so that's how the boilerplate works. So right now let's get back to including our template into our theme. So let's see how that works. We have the template right here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open this in code, in VS Code as well. So I'm going to do code. I'm going to copy this here, and there we have it. So we have our templates up here. In case you don't know how to add a front page to a WordPress theme, what you want to do is you add a new file and you call it front page.php. There you go. And in here, anything you put in here, I'm just going to say h1 hello world, and this right here is going to be my front page. So now that I have saved this, if I reload this page, it's going to interpret my front page as the front page, my front page file as the front page. So there you go. So everything we put in here is going to be considered the front page. So as you can see, all that we have to do is take this file and put it inside there and configure it. Okay, but there's another problem. In WordPress, we usually work with a separate header and a footer template in order to there you go. In WordPress, we usually work with a different header and footer template, and what we do is we import those header and footer every time we want to create a new template, so that we don't have to repeat ourselves. All right. So if we didn't do this, we'd have to add here. Every time we added a new template, we would have to do something like, oh yeah, so doc type HTML, and then add the Navbar. And all. I mean, it's just a lot of work and it's not useful. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to take the top part of this into a header.php and the footer into a footer.php, and we're just going to include them. So our footer is already built, it's up here, and our header is already built, it's up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to import it in here just by you doing this. So you do PHP get header, and you do the same PHP get footer, and this two functions right here, they're going to call our files they're going to call our files footer and header. So right now, if I add h1 right here, hello world, now refresh, we're going to have our header and our footer. And as you can see, the styles were included too, because my styles are included in my header.php. So yeah, right now I can modify my header, for example, header.php, and I can say that in here I want here to be another h1, and this is inside header.php. And then I save this, and then I reload. This appears right here because we're getting this from the header. And if you can see, my front page doesn't have that text, so it's coming from the header and it's being included on get header. Same for get footer. We can include something on get footer right here, and we say h3. This is the footer. And then if we refresh, this appears right here. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this, and I'm going to delete this right here too. All right, so what we want to do is we want to include all those files, right, all this code right here inside here. So let's try to do that. Ideally, we only want the body to be inside it. Let's see our footer template. We don't have a body tag inside it. Oh yes, we actually do. So okay, so what we're gonna want to do is we're going to get the body tag inside the header too. Okay, so we're going to update our header. this right here is going to go into the header page, into the header, our header template. This right here is going to go into our footer template, and everything in between is going to go into our front page.php file. Okay, so let's start with the header. So here we have our header. This one right here is our boilerplate, and this one right here is the template that we had before. So as you can see right here, we already have a lot of things inside our head tag, and here we have a head tag. So let's update this. We want to add a title tag, so we copy this here from here to here. So now we have a title tag. We have our meta, and we define the char set. This right here pretty much just tells our browser which char set we're using, and we usually use UTF-8, but just to make this a little bit more dynamic, we use blog info char set, and that basically just does, it usually just prints UTF-8, but what it does is that if for some reason our theme changes the char set, this is going to be dynamic, and it returns the name of the char set that's stored in the database, and it puts it right here. So we're going to leave this one as is. Meta, we have viewport, so everything seems exactly the same. We have initial scale 1, we have user scalable no, just to make things completely exactly as they are in this template. We're going to add this one right here, and we're going to replace this one with the one that we have on the other side. What else do we have? We have link relationship profile for some reason, and we have link style sheet. So we have to link to our styles CSS. As you remember, in the file that we downloaded from the template, we have our assets and we have our CSS styles. But we don't want them to be like this in our case. We want them to be in the way we already have our boilerplate working. So we're going to include them using our boilerplate. And to do that, we're going to be using SASS. So that's convenient. There we go. And we also have some web fonts. That's going to be kind of a pain, probably. But let's see how that works. All right, so first of all, I'm going to leave the style sheets for later, okay? So just keep in mind that these two are going to be included later. And what else do we have here? So the head, I guess that's all. For the body, the opening tag of the body, it's important that you keep it. The opening tag of the body, it's important that you keep it in the header.php and not inside your template, because pretty much because it's always present, and also because just because it's always present. And this right here is pretty important too. This is just a PHP function that comes from the WordPress framework that substitutes, that creates the classes for WordPress, and it just outputs them in here. So what is this doing? Let's see what this is doing. I'm just going to open my website again. Let me just get rid of the red color because it's kind of disturbing. I modified it in main CSS, so I'm going to set it to something a little bit more beautiful. Let's say, well, that's not exactly beautiful, but it's at least it's better on the eyes. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna show you. This right here is the opening body tag, and you see we don't have any classes here. Let's see what's going on. So I'm going to go to elements, I'm going to go to my body tag, and as you can see we do have some classes here. We have home, we have blog, we have logged in, we have admin bar, I'm going to zoom in here. there you have it. So we have home, blog, logged in, admin bar, hfeed, customize support, etc. And these classes, we did not import them. I mean, they're not here, so where are they? So they're being imported by this function right here. So it's important that you add this function, and so you usually just keep it in the header.php so that it's always imported. And WordPress is going to replace this with any functions that it needs to include. So no need to do anything else about that. We had WP body open. We have ID page, class site, skip link, green letter, primary, skip content, etc. Master. I actually think that we can just let go of all of this. Let's see how they do on their side. They already have they start already with the section, so I'm just going to erase all of this. There you go. So now we have our header that's looking very similar to the header from our template that we downloaded. Let's see if it's still working on here. There you go, it seems to be working. Now we only have hello world, but we still have this on our footer, so let's clean up our footer too. Our footer is supposed to be something like this. Let's see if we can get that here. Body. Well, what do we have here? Okay, something important is that our footer has to have all the scripts that we're going to be using. So we're going to be using this right here and all of this all the way to here. Yeah, so we're going to be including the footer, we're going to be including the scripts and the end closing tags. So let's go to our footer right here, footer, all right, footer, and we're going to remove this footer from here. We don't need this one. And we're going to add WP footer, that's important. Same, just as before, this WP footer, it works pretty much the same as WP head. Did I explain to you how WP head works? Alright, so just in case I didn't, this right here, this WP head, this is going to replace calling this function right here, it's going to include all the styles and everything that you want to include in your header that you don't see here, but that WordPress does for you. So if we see how this works on the front end right here, you can see that we have inside our head tag, we have what we included. We have MySpace by HTML5 up, UTF-8, as I was telling you, initial scale, meta, link, profile, And we also have a title thing right here, my awesome website, just another WordPress site. So actually we didn't need this one because everything that comes after this one right here is being included by this function right here. And this is just this comes from the WordPress settings. So you don't have to do anything to include all of these things. It's all included by WP head, okay? And later I'm going to show you how to add things to WP head so that it includes them together. What else we got? Alright, so I guess that's it for the header. Let's just go back to the footer. Front page, nope. Footer, where's our footer? Alright, so here's our footer, and we want to put all of this in there. But we want, the WP footer, it works just as WP head, sorry. What it does is basically just imports all the scripts that you tell WordPress to include in the footer, and it replaces this with all of that. So this right here should come before the, yeah, this right here should come before the body tag, the end body tag. And we're going to delete this because we don't need them anymore. And this looks pretty good to me. The problem right here is that we're including scripts that are not in our directory. So how do we deal with scripts and styles? I'm going to show you that in a moment. And for the moment, I'm just going to comment this out. I'm going to do the same in the header. In the header, remember we need this link styles right here, but they're not going to work, so I'm just going to comment them out. All right, so this right here, this is not going to work, so I'm just going to comment it out. These are the styles for the template, and in our footer, these are the scripts for our template. So we're just going to comment this out right now because it's not going to work because they're not included in our theme. So let me just show you that the footer is working and that the header is working, and let's see the front page, what it looks like right now. So as you can see, we only have front footer and header, and let's just keep this hello world. And if we refresh this, we have hello world still, and we have design and untitled. This right here is the footer that we see right here. Designed by HTML5, untitled, all rights reserved. But we don't have the style for it, so that's what we're going to do later in the video. But as you can see, we already have a footer, we already have our header with all this info right here that we wanted to include. And so apparently everything's up and ready to include our code inside it. So let's get right into it. I'm going to, first of all, oh, by the way, yeah, don't forget that in my header thing, in my header.php, I opened body and HTML, and I closed them here, right? Body and HTML. So that's how it works. And then let's replace everything that's inside here with everything that's in our template, right? I'm going to take just a quick break of 5 minutes, and I'm going to show you in a moment how it works. All right. Well, now we're back. And so we're going to put everything that's inside here in here, right? And let's see how that looks. I'm just going to select the sidebar. That's going to be quite important. And we're going to select all the way till before the footer, because we included the footer in our footer. So I'm going to copy this and paste it right here. There you go. Now you have it right here. Now if I save this, we're in our front page. I'm going to bring this here, and let's see how that works. Let's see how that looks. All right, seems to be working. So we have our hyperspace title, we have the description, we have the subtitles, we have all the content that's here. What we do, set some dollar, what we do, etc. What we do, yeah, I mean, we seem to have all the contents. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the styles first, right? To do that, I have to remind you that the styles that we're going to add here are supposed to be these two, main.css and noscript.css, okay? For a moment, I'm going to stop Webpack because that's not going to be, I'm going to show you how to use it in a moment. But for the moment, we're going to be using these two. So how do we use these two? First of all, I'm going to uncomment these two lines. So we're using asset CSS and main CSS. There's one thing with WordPress that this is not going to work, because you have to tell WordPress that you're going to be using, you have to give WordPress the actual, wait, what's going on here? You have to do WordPress to give WordPress the actual full URL of this, right? Let me show you how this doesn't work. Just like that, okay? If we leave it like that and we refresh this, it's not going to change anything. Well, first of all, because we don't have our styles there, but also because if we come here and try to look for that style sheet that we just imported, it's going to be, let me see where it's going to be. It's going to be somewhere around here. Let's say it's going to be, where did I put it, by the way? I put it under the link profile thingy. Yeah, here it is. So it's this too. And it's not working, definitely, because here we have a relative path. And WordPress does not really like to work with relative paths, especially when working with a theme. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to have to give it the entire URL or URI to this style sheet. So first, let's add our style sheet here to the assets folder. All of this, I'm just going to delete it for now. And inside assets, I'm going to create a CSS directory, and inside this CSS, I'm going to put main.css, all right? And main.css is here, main.css. There you go. Now my main.css is in there. And what else? We have a noscript.css that's, well, there you have it. So now we have our CSS in assets. And what we're gonna do right now is we're going to I mean, if we save this and we load this, it's still not going to work because it won't find it, because it has a relative URL. So let's make that complete URL. Okay, so how to find this one? To find it, we can do a couple things. First of all, we can do HTTP. Are we using HTTPS here? Wait, are we using HTTPS? I don't think so. All right, so it's not HTTP, so it's my awesome website. I forgot an E somewhere around my awesome website. Sorry about the misspell. Local, and then here local. I mean, this is the URL to the CSS file. Okay, so it's going to be my awesome website.local.wp content / themes, and the theme is called. Wait, where are we? Just going to open this. The theme is called my awesome website, if I'm not mistaken, or my awesome theme. I don't remember. How's it called? It's called my awesome theme. Yeah, and the theme is my awesome theme. And then assets CSS main.css. Right, that's supposed to work, because I mean, what we're doing right now is we're just like giving it the entire path all the way to our theme. Okay, so let's see how that works. It doesn't seem to working either. Why is it not working? Let's see. We copy this, we come here, we paste this, and it's actually there. So what's going on here? Alright, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this is not working. Let's see if the no script one was the one that had all the things that were supposed to work. Content, themes, my awesome theme, assets. Let's see if this is the one that had. It's not down either. I wonder what's going on here. It's probably the scripts that were supposed to be added. How about if I use my awesome? How about if I do it like this? Get template directory URI. Then I do something like this. Oh yeah, there it is. All right, so yeah, it wasn't working because we didn't add the HTTP. All right, so there you go. That's what I meant when I said that we were gonna go through some errors. The thing here is that you're gonna want to use get template directory every time that you want to specify that you're using your current URL. Because I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, if I replace this right here to HTTPS, this is going to work to HTTPS. No, it's not working either. I don't know, it's not working. There must be some kind of typo somewhere. There must be some kind of typo somewhere. But well, just to let you know, here you should use PHP, because I mean, if you upload this website and you change the domain name at some point, this right here is going to remain like hard-coded, and you don't want to come back to your code and replace the domain name every time you change the domain name. So what you do is you ask WordPress for the domain name by saying get template part URI, and that way it'll just give you whatever it is, the URI of your theme, right? So this right here is going to return your website, sub content, themes, the name of your theme, and then you can add your relative path inside your theme. Okay, so that's how it works. I don't know what's the difference right here. HTTP, oh yeah, because it's not supposed to be HTTPS. So if I do HTTP like this, now it works. Yeah, all right, so that was the problem. I was using HTTP and not HTTPS. But just remember, instead of writing the entire thing, just write get template directory URI. There you go, and we're gonna do the same thing for this one right here. And don't forget the slash. And there you go. So now you have what do you got? What's going on here? Get template directory. Oh yeah, here. This is not supposed to be here. So now you have your theme, and it seems to be working apparently for some reason. And our links even work as well, so that's convenient, not bad. And there you go. So I mean, the front page is on its way. We have already included our styles. Let's do the same thing with our scripts, okay? We're already still working on a header, okay? So any page, any template that we create, if we just add get header, it's going to add all of our scripts and all of our styles. Let's do the same thing for scripts right now. So we're going to go down here to footer, and we're going to try and find this scripts right here. So there are many of this. So we have assets, JS, jQuery, min, JS, scrollx, min. All right, so we have a whole bunch of JS files here. And I suppose that we can find them in here. Okay, so we have jQuery min.js, which is this one. I'm just going to put them inside assets.js, okay? JS, oops, rename it to JS like that, and it's not supposed to be inside CSS, it's supposed to be inside assets. So here we have our CSS, then we're going to add our JS, and it's supposed to be, we're supposed to have jQuery.min.js, so let's put it right here. Tech. What else are we supposed to have? Scrollx min.js. I'm just going to do it like this. jQuery scrollx min, this one, jQuery scrollx min JS2 for some reason. We have two of these. Oh, scrollx and scrolly. So it's these two. We also have browser min.js, which is this one. Breakpoints.min.js, which is this one. Util and main. All right, so it's actually all of them. And we put them all in here. And remember that this right here is not going to work because we're using here relative paths. So, and we want to use the absolute version of the URL. And to do this, again, just as before, I'm just going to modify it all. Oops. I'm just going to modify it all at the same time. So we're going to add here, 1 second. We're going to add here get template directory URI. And then remember to add the slash assets.js, jQuery main.js, etc. So all of it is in here. It's supposed to find it because we just gave it the URL of our template, and then we said to look for assets.js, and then your files in here. So that seems to work. There you go. Let's save it and let's see if we have any errors in our console. So here we have a console. Of course, we have many errors for the moment, but let's clean this one up a bit. And then refresh. Let's see what that gives. Alright, so there are a lot of errors. My awesome local, WP content themes, my awesome theme assets main.css. Didn't find assets main.css for some reason. My awesome website.local, WP content themes, my awesome theme assets main.css version 6.03. Yeah, all right, so that's something else. You're not supposed to, all right, that comes from Webpack. This one right here comes from Webpack 2. Some website, pick, look. All right, so it's just the images that were not found. So, I mean, apparently, as far as I can see, this seems to be working all right. Let's see. Who are we? All right, so the scrolling seems to work. Seems to be going fine. Not bad. Okay, we're gonna fix this in a moment. That comes from Jetpack and images. Let's get the images working as well. And we have the inside the assets, we have the web fonts, but we're not gonna use the web fonts so for the moment. We're gonna use the images right here, and the images, if I'm not mistaken, how are they referenced? The images. Oh, they're inside here. Okay, so CSS doesn't need any images. I suppose that our template file does require the images. So let's see. In front page, do we have any images? Yeah, it goes on to look to images, pick 01, pick 02, pick 03. So these are the ones that it couldn't find. And these are the errors that it was throwing here. If you can see, we have pick 02, pick 01, and pick 03 not found. So we're going to fix that in a moment. Just as before, remember, you know what, I'm going to do a search replace right here. So we're going to do image source equals tech images. Every time you want, this thing is looking for images, what we're going to do is we're going to look for we're going to replace this with image source, and we're also going to say images, but now we're going to give it the entire URL. And how to give the entire URL? You guessed it, you give it get template directory URI, and then /images, and there you have it. So now if we click on replace, pop, there you have it, get template directory URI, and it's looking for a folder called images and the pic01 inside that folder. So we're going to have to create that folder here, images, and let's put our images in there. Images. There you go. Now you have your images inside your folder, and what you're going to want to do now is you're going to save this, and let's come back to here and let's see how that's working. Do we have images? And we have images indeed. Not bad. Let's see the entire thing. This has like, all right, so it's looking pretty good so far. Not bad. All right. And this I have to remind you, we're running this on WordPress, so it's looking pretty good so far. What else do we got in here? All right. All right. All right. So next thing I'm going to show you is we're going to see how to import all of these things, because I mean, so far we have imported our files on our source file, our scripts and our CSS files in the footer and header, just like usual. But I'm going to show you how to do it the WordPress way in a moment. So buckle up, let's do that. All right, so what do I mean when I say the WordPress way? Okay, WordPress has a particular way of dealing with dependencies and with scripts and styles in particular. Okay, that means that, as you can see right here, you have your get footer and get header functions. That is, as I told you before, get header calls everything that's in header.php, and get footer calls everything that's inside footer.php. And what we want to do is that when we call WP head inside the header, we want it to include our styles as well. Not only the styles from WordPress, we want it to include our own styles too. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these two things inside WP head. That's the WordPress way of creating a theme. And as I'll show you in a moment, it will allow you to organize your code much more neatly and to configure the dependencies that you need for your CSS and SASS sheets, okay? And we're going to do the same thing with the footer. And in this case, as you have seen, we have included the scripts in the HTML directly, but what we're going to do is we're going to import them the WordPress way inside the WP footer action. So that means that when we call this right here, it will include all of this by itself, and you will not need to include it to type it like, I mean, it's just again, it just allows you to keep it more organized and to keep to be aware of the dependencies. All right, good. So that's what we have, and right now what we're going to do is I'm going to right, there are two things that we can do. First of all, let's import all of this without Webpack. First, we're gonna forget about Webpack for a moment, and what we're going to do is we're going to come right here to functions.php, and I'm going to say 2 seconds. I'm gonna say, all right, just going to take this off for a moment, and I'm going to add function add, or I'm going to call it custom scripts. And what this function is going to do is it's going to add the scripts and the styles to the action that we mentioned before, to WP footer and to WP head. So how do we do that? For the styles, it's very simple. We're going to have to use this function called WP Enqueue style. And we're going to do that with all of main and NoScript, okay? I mean, we're going to have to use one for each. So this function takes, the first argument that it takes is the name of the style sheet that we want to add. I mean, this is whatever, you can add whichever name you want to add. It's just to recognize it when you're using it. And the second argument is the source of the thing. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this like this. So the second argument is the source. And to get the source, we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to say get template directory URI, and we're going to add here, we're going to concatenate the location for our main.css, okay? And that's going to be assets css main.css. There you go. And finally, the next argument is the dependencies list. And do we need any dependencies? If you, for example, if you needed Bootstrap and you had Bootstrap defined before, you would write here Bootstrap. But since we don't need any dependencies for this one, we're just going to leave it like that. Next, we're going to have to add the version. If there is no version, you just have to write false. And finally, media all. I mean, I think that's enough. So this right here is going to include main.css into our head cycle, okay, into the action, this action right here. I'm going to do exactly the same thing for NoScript.css. I'm not sure what that one does. I'm just going to copy this one and say NoScript. And NoScript, and this one right here is called NoScript.css. Again, I'm adding the location for this one. Again, no dependencies and false for the version. And this right here should enqueue it, but so far we're only adding the function. If you know how programming languages work, we're just creating the function right here. We need to call it so that it actually does something. But how it works is we don't just call it like this in WordPress, custom scripts.ph and like that. I mean, that could probably work, but that's not the best way to do it. What you do in WordPress is you tell WordPress when you want this function to be executed. Okay, so WordPress works with a cycle kind of thing, which basically means that it does some things first and then other things, etc. And in this cycle, there is one part of the cycle that's called WP Enqueue scripts. And that's the part of the cycle when it adds the scripts and the style sheets to your theme. So let me show you how that looks. So we're going to add an action to the WordPress cycle, and the place in which we want to add this action is going to be WP Enqueue scripts. But there are many parts of this action list. Okay, you can add it to init, and it will just fire whenever you start. I mean, at the very beginning of your WordPress website when it started to load. But right here we're going to add WP Enqueue scripts, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if that's right. Now we need to find the name of the hook. WP Enqueue scripts, I think that's the name of the hook, and it is indeed. Okay. So this is the name of the hook, and then a second argument is the callback function that we want to fire at this moment of the action. And the function that we want to fire is custom scripts. So what we're going to do is we're going to add custom scripts right here. And now if we save this and we remove this from here, you know what, I'm going to show you I'm going to remove the action. So far this will not run. It's just a function for the moment, but I have commented out the action. So let's go back to the website, and then let's refresh, and you can see that our style sheet is gone, of course, because we just commented it out from here. But we want to add it inside here. So look at this. I have not uncommented this. I'm actually just going to delete it. And I have added it here. So I save this, and then if I refresh the page, I still have the styles again, but now they're being loaded inside WP head. And that's how you do it in WordPress, okay? This is the way to be more organized and to keep your code neat. It's very important because many WordPress developers have terrible I don't know, code. I don't know why, but it's something that happens in WordPress. All right, so this is what we do right here, and then let's do the same thing for JS, right? Now for JS, instead of using WP Enqueue style, I'm just going to add it inside the same function. We're going to use WP Enqueue scripts, and what this one right here does, I'm not sure I can use this. Let's see. Hello. Yeah, I'm not sure why this is working. All right, no, you know, I usually use Enqueue script, okay? This is just like to show you, because we're going to replace this in a moment. So same thing, to Enqueue script, you add the name of your script. We're going to start off with breakplates.min.js. Let me see in which order they have been imported here. So this is the order that we want. Just gonna copy this. I'm just going to paste it here. All right. I'm just going to paste it here. There you have it. So, all right. So we're going to import all of this. First of all, we have to include jQuery. jQuery. Let's just call it jQuery. And actually, all right, so let's say the source, where it is. And the source, of course, it's this one. The source is this one. Tag. Have to remove this. Have to add this and that. All right, there you go. Same name, source. The third argument is the dependencies. We don't need any dependencies for this one. We don't set a version for it, because, I mean, we could, I guess, but I guess that's all right. And then in footer, this one's important. You need to set this one to true. Otherwise, it will be loaded in WP head and not in WP footer, okay? So the last argument has to be true if this is a script, okay? There you go. So now we have added the first one. I'm going to do the same thing for all of them. Just bear with me. I'm going to do this pretty quick. Oh, nope, like that. I think it's like that, yeah. All right, so the second one is supposed to be jQuery scrollx.min.js. I'm just going to modify this right here. The second one's supposed to be jQuery scrollx.min.js, and I'm going to call it jQuery scrollx. And here, if you can see, we do need to add a dependency. So it's going to be jQuery. Okay, just to keep the same order that we had before. Okay, and same thing with the third one, which is scrolly.min.js. And that one we're going to add it here. jQuery scrolly.min.js. jQuery scrolly.min.js. And we're also going to call it jQuery scrolling. Okay, and also in dependencies, we're gonna need jQuery. But this time, not only jQuery, but we're also going to need jQuery scrollix so that it adds scrollix before this one, okay? So this is going to look for jQuery and jQuery scrollix, and it's going to include them before adding this one. You know what, we only need jQuery scrollix because jQuery scrollix already needs jQuery, so we're kind of creating like a waterfall. So it's going to try to import one, and it will find it. It needs, I mean, if it ever tries to import this one, it's gonna say, oh, I need to import jQuery scrollix first. Then it's gonna try to import jQuery scrollix first, and it's gonna go and be like, oh, I need to include jQuery first. So that's how it works. And then the fourth one is going to be browser.main.js. Browser.main.js. Oh, not like that. There you go, browser.main.js. And again, right here, we're going to add jQuery scrollix as a dependency. Here has to be as a string, and this one's going to be called browser. And this one right here is going to be breakpoints.main.js. Breakpoints.main.js. We're going to call it breakpoints. What's going on here? Breakpoints. There you go. And it's going to be breakpoints.main.js. And in dependencies, we're going to add this one right here. There you go. Like that. Like that. jQuery scrollix. Oh no, this one's going to dependent browser, not jQuery scrollix. Breakpoints.main. Okay, I suppose. Oh yeah, no, it's alright. Then util and main. Okay, we're only missing util and main. So let's do the same thing for util and main right here. Util, like that. Util, util, and this one requires breakpoints. And main, this one's going to be main.js. And this one right here is going. There's a way faster way of doing this. I'm just showing you this very quick so that you kind of have an idea of what's going on. So now I can delete all of this. And now we should have everything imported. Just remember that in JavaScript, of course, you need to add semicolons in at the end of your function. So this is how this works. This is going to throw an error otherwise. And there you go. So now this should import all of our scripts. I suppose I really should have used Enqueue scripts in plural, but whatever. I mean, it's in the end, it's just the same thing. But yeah, I mean, we have style and scripts. There you go. And it's always set to true in the last argument so that it will include it in the end. So let's see how that works. I'm going to remove these things right here. And let's see if our smooth scrolling still works, okay? Alright, so our content seems to be working and the scrolling seems to be working too, so there you have it. So now our styles have been imported inside WP head and inside WP footer, and that's pretty good, that's pretty convenient, and that's how you do it in order for this to be well organized. But there's a better way of doing this, even better. I'm going to show you that in a moment. We're going to be doing this. So far, as you can see, we're using the assets file, and we're using directly the main CSS and the main JS and the JS files. But we don't want to do this way. We want to be able to import this inside, because I mean, like, what happens if you want to add custom CSS? I mean, of course, you can add a new file here and be like, oh, this will be my custom.css, and then just import this file just as you imported this file right here, and add it as a dependency, and you'd be doing something like this, and you'd be like, oh, this is going to be custom, it's going to be my custom file, and the dependency, of course, is going to be main, because the main is the one from the theme. So we want the one from the theme to be loaded before our custom assets. And then right here I can be like, oh, so background color. Let's say that we want our H1 to be color yellow. Okay, let's see if that works. If I refresh here, this one is working, because we have imported custom CSS inside our functions right here. But what if you don't want to use CSS? What if you want to use SASS? All right, so to do that, I would recommend that you watch the previous video on how to use Webpack in WordPress. But if you don't want to watch all of that, you can just learn to use the boilerplate that I already created in that video in this video, and that's what we're going to do right now. So to add all of this to the boilerplate right here, to use SASS and inside sources, and for it to be compiled automatically inside assets, what we're going to do is we're going to move all of this inside here. Okay, so let's do that first. All right, so first of all, custom, we're going to delete this thing. We're not going to be adding this custom thing right here. Move to trash. And of course, that means that this one right here, custom, we have absolutely no need for it. So there you go. And right now, what we're going to want to do is we're going to create all of our files up here, and we want to run Webpack in order to minify everything and to put everything inside here in just two files, one for JS and one for CSS. That way, we will only import one CSS file and one script. And that's all that we will have to import. It will make our code way more clean and our project way more maintainable. And of course, it will just be better if you push this to production, because Webpack allows you to do this to automate all of these processes. Okay, so let's take all of this and put them inside here. So CSS is pretty straightforward, I suppose. No, it's actually not that straightforward. I'm going to start with JS actually. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to take all of these files right here and we're going to put them inside the TS source TS folder, and we're going to add a folder inside here. We're going to call it default for the default styles of the theme. We're going to copy all of these things, move them inside default. There you go. So now, of course, this is not going to work because none of the styles that are being referenced inside the Enqueue script files are going to exist actually, because they have changed. I have moved them to source TS default, but I will have to import this into main.ts. How do I import this? I can do import everything from, I'm gonna say default, let's say breakpoints, .main.js. Let's see if that works. I'm not sure it's gonna work actually. No, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me look at something right here. How do I import JS files? Compiler options. All right, so this is how to import JS modules into a TypeScript file. So apparently you can do this as I was doing. Let's see if it works. Put everything as whatever. No, I'm just going to use this. Compiler options, allow JS true. And I'm going to have to modify my TypeScript JSON file. I'm going to add this here. So there you have it, allow JS. So it was actually set to true for some reason. Okay, so all right. And right here, I'm going to import break default, of course. And we're going to say we're going to import breakpoints first. Breakpoints.main.js. Let's see if that works. And I'm going to do the same thing for all of them. So next, I'm going to import browser, and then jQuery. Oh no, what was the order again? I forgot the order. Let me see what was the order. So the order was jQuery first. Okay, jQuery. Then jQuery.scrollx. Then jQuery.scrolly. jQuery.scrolly. Then browser min, then breakpoints.min.js, then util.js, and then main.js. main.js. All right, so that's supposed to work. Main, util, breakpoints, browser, min, square, scrollx, Alright, so that's supposed to work. So right now what we're doing is we are including all of this inside main.ts. In order for this to work, you might need to enable allow.js in your TypeScript file. So if you have done that, it should work. We're gonna test it in a moment. And finally, we're gonna need all these files into our CSS file. Now this is gonna bring some errors, definitely, because it's going to use some fonts that we don't have. We're gonna have to clear that up at some point. Let's see if we have fonts here. Font, family, import. Let's see if we have imports. Do we have any imports? Yeah, we have awesome, font awesome. Oh, we actually only have font awesome as a font, so that's convenient. All right. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go for main.css and no script and scripts. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing right here. We're going to create a new folder inside SCSS, and we're going to call it default again. And inside default, we're going to create two files. One's going to be called main, which is the name of this one, but we're going to call it main.scss. Now, you know what? We're going to call it default. Default.css, and the other one we're going to call it noscript.css. SCSS, of course. And then just copy all the contents inside here, and we're going to paste them here, and all the contents inside this one, and we're going to paste them here. Now, why did we have to do this? Why was this important? Oh, right. We're going to have to, of course, we're going to have to import them here. I'm not sure how to import add import, I guess. Partials, yeah, import file name. Okay, yeah, that's the way. So yeah, it's just exactly the same as what we did with TypeScript, but we're going to use import in SASS, and we're going to say that we want to import default, because we're giving it the position, the location of this one. We're going to say default. Okay, we're going to do it like that. And the second part, we're going to add default again, and we're going to add no script. So there you go. Now we have both of these that are modularized, and we have included them inside the default folder. And same here, we have included all of this inside the default folder of our TypeScript. And this right here should work. I mean, if we run this, it's going to take everything in here and everything in here, and it's going to compile it and put it all of it inside two files. And the two files are going to be main.css and main.main.js. So everything inside here is going to be one single file, and everything inside here is going to be one single file that we can import to WordPress just like we did before. And this is how Webpack works. That's the magic of bundlers. So there's a problem here, is that if we have all these files in here, they're going to be replaced by our Webpack bundle, because that's how I have set it up. It removes everything that was inside SASS and it replaces it with whatever our current compilation outputs. Okay, so to run Webpack, I'm going to do npm run watch so that it keeps updating. It's obviously not going to work so far because we are of course going to have several errors, and evidently we do have several errors. One of them comes from default jQuery scrolly.min. Cannot resolve to it. Alright, so where is it? jQuery scrolly, it was not EY, it was just Y. So let's come back here to TypeScript main, and it's not scrolly, it's just scrolly, like that. Let's see if that runs. And apparently it actually worked. Pretty good. Alright, let me see, let me just clear this up, and let's see if it works again. npm run watch. It's just so beautiful when things work on the first time. Good. All right, so we have this, and now you can come up here and see that it actually it has created some files inside here. So we have main.css, and we have one line that's extremely long that has a lot of things in it. We have main.css map. For some reason that's important. Alright, but why is main.css so short? It's not supposed to be that short, I guess. Yeah, it's not supposed to be that short. I don't know what's going on right here. Main.main.js. Alright, let's see how that works. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go back to functions.php. We're going to remove this that we had so far. This right here, it was to add our custom scripts like usual, but the boilerplate already came with this thing right here, which all it did was import. It was exactly the same thing as we did before, but it imports automatically the bundle that was output by Webpack. So you have assets main.css, and main.js. So it imports the two of them, and it puts them on this one. Actually, I need this one. Just as I told you before, the version is false, but this one has to be true because it needs to be in the footer because it's the script. And let's see how this works. I have a feeling that it's not gonna work, and it didn't work apparently, of course, because for some reason our CSS is not loading. So we have default.scss. That's not being imported for some reason. And here, default. Why is this one not being imported? Let's see. What happens if we add all of this in here? Now we have an error. We have a couple of errors if we import it directly like that. What are the errors? It cannot find CSS loader. It cannot find source CSS main.css. Okay, so that's this one. Module build failed. Error, can't resolve Phantasm. Yeah, of course. So the problem is that this file right here is trying to import Phantasm, and we don't have Phantasm. So we're just to remove Phantasm, and there's still an error apparently. So let's see why that error is happening. Let's see what's the error right now. Well, that's a lot of things here. All right, what's going on? All right, it's even longer than my terminal wants to output. What's the problem here? Wow, that's extremely ugly. Experts, how many default? Alright, here we have it. Error main CSS can't resolve images intro.svg. Right, so we have some images inside here. Yeah, that's going to happen at some point. It's this one. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if the theme that you have imported has images inside the CSS, it's going to throw this error. So at some point you will have to either first get rid of all the images that are inside your template and then re-import them using the correct method. So let's see if we have more images right here. I'm going to look for URL for this to work. URL, and here we have another one. Alright, so this one's, I think it's alright. This one's alright. Alright, so now I think it should work. Yeah, apparently it worked. Okay, clear, and let's rerun npm watch. And it ran again. There you go. So now if we come right here to our main.css, you can see that it's already, I mean, like this time it actually does have a lot of content. So that's what we wanted. And this is the one that's, oh, sorry, I forgot to zoom in again. And this is the one that we're going to be using, and the one that we have imported in our functions.php, as I showed you before, which is right here, main CSS and main.min.js, which is this one. There you go. All right, so right now, if I go back here and refresh, it's working again. Oh, it's so nice when things work. There you go. But the scripts are not working for some reason. Let's see what's going on, because I mean, if the scripts were working, we would have some smooth scrolling. So the thing right here is that we had a simple problem with the JS, okay? And I'm going to explain that to you, why that hadn't worked before. The current version of the website looks like this. There you go. So apparently our JS is not working, and the reason for that is that we were trying to import it. Let me show you. We were trying to import it here. Where are we? Here. We were trying to import it here using default and then adding our usual inputs here, like something like input, and then going default, etc., right? And the problem with that is that when you import something in JavaScript, you have to either, export the function that you're importing first, or you have to have everything defined in the same file, all right? And right here, we're importing several files that were not exporting their objects. Let me show you what I mean. In this theme, what happens is that everything, the main JavaScript file that manages how this works is this one. So we have a function, we have a function called they call a function called breakpoints. They call a function called, they use jQuery without even defining it first. Oh, look at that. They use methods such as crawlx without even defining them either. And that's okay, because they were using it inside, importing it directly into HTML. And that's a good thing. It just makes the template way more neat and complete. But if we want to actually import those JavaScript files into our own JavaScript file, then we would have to export those functions. Because what we're doing here is bundling everything together into one same file. And TypeScript does not understand that we're not exporting and importing things, and that we're just using things that were never declared, okay? So that was the problem right here. And that's why JavaScript was not working. As you can see, all of these are dependencies. So breakpoints is the one that defines the function breakpoint. Breakpoints, the one that's used here, or here. jQuery, of course, is the one that defines jQuery, etc. So we have two options right now. We can either import all of our JavaScript, just like we were importing it a moment ago in functions.php, which is right here, and do something like import script, and then import every single one of this. Or we can just leave them as they are in the HTML. And this always comes as a decision. It always comes back to the decision of the developer and the way to guide your decision, if you want to import it here or in the HTML, is what's going to make your code more readable. Okay. In this case, there are so many things that I actually think that it's easier to just leave it in the footer.php like this. And let's just uncomment this right here and just use it like that. And then just add a comment right here and say theme scripts. And then in WP footer, we will import our own scripts, okay? This way we can be sure that these scripts are loaded before anything that we add ourselves, all right? So how do we organize this? I did this off camera, so I'm just gonna show you that this right here, just a moment ago it was like this, assets, JS, default, jQuery, etc. No, it was assets, default, assets, TS, default, jQuery, main, JS. Like that. And if we do it like this, it should work now, I suppose. It's not working. 1 minute. Oh, it's not asset, sorry. It's source. 2 minutes, 1 second. Up. There we go. Source, TS, and default. There you go. Now, if we do this, it should work now. There you go. The problem right here is that I really don't want them to be inside TypeScript, right? Because if you remember from the previous video how our Webpack is configured, our Webpack is configured to take 2 points of entry. It takes source TS main TS and source SASS main SASS. Okay, and that's just to keep it organized. But that basically means that what's inside here is going to become bundled, and what's inside here is going to become bundled. And in default, right, this one right here, we're importing it directly on the HTML template. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to add a new folder right here. I'm going to call it JS. I'm going to move all the defaults inside there. And I clicked on yes for inputs. I'm going to delete this one right here. And let's see what happened. If we see the footer, right now we're using source and we're no longer inside TS, we're inside JS, default, and then all of our dependencies, and then finally our main JS, okay? So this should work now. And now we have separated it from the SASS and TypeScript directories. It just allows us to get it a little bit more organized. And let's see how that looks. So it's still working, our JavaScript is working correctly, and we imported it on HTML. Sometimes it's easier to do it this way, sometimes it's easier to import it on functions.php. It depends on every situation, okay? So up to you for that one. Remember that the goal is to make this as maintainable and as readable as possible, all right? So there you go with that. What else do we have? What else can we do now? All right, so just a moment ago, we were having troubles with the SASS file right here because we were trying to import some images, and in the end, the images were causing us some trouble because they were being added just like, TypeScript was looking for them and it was not finding them. So we just commented them out. What we're going to do right now is we're going to bring them back in. So how do we do that? Let's see where were our images. URL, here is one, images intro.svg and font awesome. I'm not going to include font awesome anyways. So there we have it. It's not this one. It's URL. It's this one. So it's images intro.svg. So I don't have it here for some reason. Let me see. Where do I have it? Images. Pick. Well, I actually don't have intro.svg, so alright, I guess just gonna leave that one out, I suppose. CSS, images, oh here it is, intro.svg. Alright, what I'm going to do is, I'm gonna put this one inside SASS right here. Images. And now, since we're using a relative path, it should understand, this right here, we're inside main.sass, so it should understand that we're there, but actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually going to remodularize this because we had left this inside main.css and it's supposed to be somewhere else. We were putting it inside default. There you go, that's how we were doing it. And this main thing, we were supposed to import it like this. Default. There you go. So now let's see how that works. Did it get imported? It was imported correctly. There you go. Oh, sorry. Actually, that didn't do anything because I haven't rerun Webpack. So let's see how that works. npm run watch. So it compiled. Let's see our CSS file. It's very big, so I suppose that everything's working correctly, and everything is working correctly actually. Very good. So now that we have modularized our CSS files, our SASS files into default and no script, what we want to do is import this image that we just brought in, which is actually an SVG. And to do that, I'm going to go right back to default where we commented out our image. And to find it, I'm just going to look for URL images. And there you have it. It was this one that was having trouble with. Let's see where it's supposed to be shown. To do that, I'm just going to look for ID. And it's intro, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, intro. Nope. Let's see. Intro, there you have it. So this one right here, intro, it's supposed to have a background SVG. Let's see how it looks in our template. Right, so it's supposed to look like that. There you go. So yeah, we don't have that here. So let's do that. Okay, how about that? And to do that, since we're working on Webpack, we're going to have to add a relative path right here, and the Webpack that we had configured in the previous video will automatically create an image folder right here, and we'll include that one inside it. Although I'm not sure if I have to include support for SVG, but I'm gonna check that in a moment. Let's see, so we uncomment this one, and instead of, did it find it? Well, apparently it did find it. Interesting. But you know what I'm going to do here? I am going to it's interesting that it finds it actually, because all right, let's see what happens if I do this. No, it doesn't find it. All right, so yeah, so the thing is that I have to assume that even though I'm inside default.sass, I have to assume that I am in main.sass, because this one is being imported in main. So my relative path in here is going to be relative to main, not relative to my default.sass. So there you go. So just to make things a little bit more readable, I'm just going to add point dash here, and let's see how that works. There you have it. So we have our SVG background working correctly with Webpack. Just going to move you somewhere right here. There you go. And so there you go. So everything seems to be working correctly. What are we going to do now? So we added images. How about we add a single, the template for our posts? So the template for our posts is supposed to look something like generic, like this. We'll see how to add the image later, maybe if we have time. But this is supposed to be like this, and this is supposed to be the title of the article, and this is supposed to be the content of the article. Okay, so this is going to be the template that's going to load whenever we want to show some content in our file. All right, so let's see how we can do that. How can we do this? First, let's find the template in the files that we downloaded. So this one right here is generic.html, and this is how it looks. As you can see, we have the footer. So this right here, we're not going to be including it because it's already being included in footer.php as we configured it before. Same for HTML head and body. And what we want is to include everything that's in between those two things in our template on this side. Now, what's the name of the template that's going to be loaded when we want to create the single article, okay, or a single post, or whatever you want to, whatever that it's a single, like an article, a custom post type, etc. What you have to do right here is you have to add a new file that's going to be single.php. The problem right here is that the boilerplate that we're using already have a single.php. So what we're going to do now is basically just update it. Let's remove this right here. I don't have no idea what this sidebar is. And here we have it. So we have get header, get footer, and this right here is going to be like this. There you go. So now if we save and we try to come right here to my awesome website and try to create a new post, let's say, and let's say a new awesome post, awesome post, and we hit publish, and we publish, and then we go to view the post. We have the generic page that the template is being loaded, so that's convenient. So our generic template is being loaded. Just to make sure that everything's working correctly, I'm going to add an H1 and say this is my custom single template. And then if I refresh here, I can see that that thing is being loaded. So we're actually inside the single template. The problem right now, even though we're loading it correctly, is that we are loading a hard-coded title and a hard-coded content, and this is absolutely not how templates work. Templates are supposed to work by allowing you to display the content of the article right here and the title of the article right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this dynamic. And it's extremely easy to do that in WordPress. What you have to do is just find wherever your title is being printed and replace that with the PHP function called the title. Okay, this function is only going to work if you're actually showing a post. I mean, if you're this function is basically just going to return, not going to return, but to echo out the name and the title of your page. So this right here, if I refresh, now you can see that we have the name of our post up here. And for the content, we can do something very similar. We can do PHP again, and we add the content. There you go. Now, if I hit refresh, I can see that we had no content in here because we hadn't added any. But if I hit edit post right here, and I say, this is my awesome content, I hit update, and then I go to view the post. I go to view the post, said I can see that this is my awesome content is being loaded. So that was pretty good. Now you have a working template for your single articles. That's convenient. There is, however, quite a small problem with this, and it's that we have a Navbar that's not working correctly. You know what? Let's see if we can actually load. Yeah, I'm going to show you how to load the featured image up here, because that's how it was in our template up here. So it's supposed to have this image. Why do we not have an image here? Let's see. Let's inspect this right here. Where is the image supposed to be? It's supposed to be underneath the HR or the separator. I'm not sure if they actually use an HR. We have images, peak 04 and image fit. All right, span image fit, and I mean, I suppose that actually exists in our template. Head image fit, span image 4, but it's absolutely not finding it, because as we had said before, this is a hard-coded relative path, and we want a dynamic absolute path. We want it to be my URL slash the address, I mean the location of my theme, and then the location of my image. So let's do that. All right, so sorry. So where's that supposed to be? It's supposed to be here. There you go. First of all, just to show you how it looks, I'm going to bring in this thing called lorem pixum. And I mean, in case you don't know, this is extremely good for testing. You just like type in something like this, and it's going to return an image. So let's just do that just for testing. I'm going to, and I mean, the two arguments that you pass are the dimensions of your image, right? So I'm going to say I want something that's 1400 times 300 sounds pretty good. So let's see how that looks. And then if I refresh right here, we can see that it's still not working, because I am actually changing the generic HTML template, not my theme. All right, so wait, my theme is up here. There you have it. If I paste that right here, I save and I refresh. This right here is going to return a random image from this random image generator API. There you have it. So there it is. And it seems to be working correctly, but I do want to make this image dynamic and make my user be able to modify it. So how do we do that? Instead of actually just coding a hard-coded image right here, we're going to say, I suppose it's get the thumbnail, I'm not really sure. Get thumbnail WordPress, I suppose. get the post thumbnail, and what it actually does, I think this one actually returns the HTML for it, but I don't want to return the HTML. I want the URL, just the URL. So get the thumbnail URL. There you go. So that I can use my own template and my own classes and my own everything, because the other function was going to return the entire HTML, and I want this to be much more customizable. So in here, let's see how this looks. It's a get, so I might have to echo it. And let's see how this is working. So I refresh right here. It's of course not going to show anything because I need to import a featured image in here. Let's set a feature image. I'm going to use a pixels image. Let's use I don't know, something related to code, whatever. And let's download this one. There you have it. I'm going to add it here to my post. Now let's choose that one, set it as featured image, update this, and let's see the post. And there it is. So it's actually working correctly. It's actually taking the styles that we set for it. And so it's all right, pretty good. Very good. All right. Now that we have our single template working correctly, let's make it work for pages as well, because this one is working for posts. But what happens if we create a page? Let's say a test page. Hello world. Publish, and let's view the page. And the problem is that our template is not working for this one. Why does it not work? Template hierarchy, WordPress. The problem that's happening, and the thing that's going on right here is that this is a problem with, this has to do with the template directory, template hierarchy in WordPress, right? So the thing is that our WordPress installation is trying to load the template for page. So it's like, oh, so we have a static page, so we have to look for the page template. We don't have the page template. We try to look for a custom template. We don't have a custom template, so it looks for a page log, page ID. Since none of these are being found, it looks for a page.php file. Do we have a page.php file? We don't have a page.php file, so it looks for singular. We created single, and actually in this hierarchy, only the single post pages come back to single. And the one that brings both together, page and single, is singular.php. So maybe we need to rename this one right here. Let's rename it and say, this is not going to be single.php, this is going to be singular.php. Now this should make our template also respond to static pages. But if you want to separate how static pages and posts look, that's where you would create a separate single PHP and a page.php, right? So let's see how that looks. We can save this and we can go back to our theme right here. And if I hit refresh, now you can see that we're actually loading the template that we were loading before. So that's pretty good. All right. Next thing I want you to do is I want us to actually make this menu work, because so far it's actually not doing anything. So let's do that. First, we're going to have to click on we're going to have to make these links modifiable by the user, and we also want to add a link to this thing right here. That will take us to our home page, but so far it's not taking us anywhere. So let's do that. First of all, we might want to ask ourselves if we want this to be inside the header.php. That might be convenient because it's supposed to be in all the pages. Let's see how it works in in the template that we downloaded. So in the template that we downloaded, if we open index.php, index.html, we don't have that header, so it's not going to be in every single page. And if we open generic.html, there is that thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate it and we're going to show it dynamically depending on the page. Okay, so let's do that. This is a very good moment to show you how template parts work, or components. So our boilerplate already has this folder, but if you don't have it, you can just create it just to be a little bit more organized. And we're going to create a new template part or component called Navbar. Navbar.php. There you go. And inside this one, what we're going to do is we're going to bring our navbar here, Control X, and we're going to put it right here. So there you go. So now, as you can see, this is not, we're in the temp. Now, as you can see, this right here has lost the navbar because we have separated it into our template parts folder. But what we're going to have to do right now is to import it. And that's actually very simple. What I'm going to do is going to import it directly from the header.php. That's going to make it a little bit more easy, and it's right here. So what I want to do is I want to add some PHP code, and the function to import template parts in WordPress is very straightforward. It's called get template part, and right here you just say the location where your template is. And my template is in template parts, and then slash, and then it is navbar.php. But I suppose you don't really have to add .php for this to work. So let's see if that works. I refresh, and there it is. So our navbar is being loaded directly from here. So that's pretty good. That's convenient. And now we can edit our navbar directly inside here. I'm just going to add a link here. I'm going to say that it goes to the root. And if I refresh this, I click here, it brings me back to the root. Although, as you can see, we have a problem. The navbar is being loaded inside our homepage, and we don't want that because that's not how it was in the template. So how do we deal with this? Because our template, our navbar was being loaded from the header, and the header is included everywhere. So what do we do here? The thing is that we can test if we are in the home page with a very simple function, which name I don't remember, is home page probably. Is front page. Yeah, is front page. And this one right here is going to return a Boolean value, true if it's the home page and false if it's not the home page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this right here. And in case you don't know how ternary operators work, they're pretty convenient because they allow you to add if-else statements in just a single line. So if this is the front page, do nothing, let's say. And if it's not the home page, then add a get template part navbar, right? So if I save this right now and I go back right here and I refresh, let me show you, and I refresh this right here, this is supposed to not appear because we're testing for the front page. Since this one right here is the front page, it's going to return nothing. But if it's not the home page, it's going to return get template parts navbar. So let's refresh. There you go. So our template navbar is gone, and now our home page is working correctly. And now if we actually look at a post view, now this one right here is actually showing. So that's very good, that's convenient, and that's how it's supposed to work, okay? I mean, at least according to our template. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good, I would say. Now, how about we do this? We make this menu actually modifiable from the WP admin, because so far it's actually hard coded. If we come here to our navbar, you can see that the menu is hard coded. We have home, we have generic, we have elements, and we really don't want that. We want this to be able to, I mean, if you have used WordPress before, you know that you have this nice little control panel for menus, and that you can add them right here. But the problem right here is that, I mean, this is absolutely not what's being shown up here. Up somewhere. Where is it? This is absolutely not what's being shown up here. Okay, so up here we're being shown the hard-coded elements, and we want to show these elements here. So how do we link these two? It's actually very simple, and it's built in WordPress. You have to add a simple function to your functions.php file. So let's find that one. Here it is, and we're going to call it main menu, register main menu, and let's call this function register main menu. And it's actually very straightforward. All that we're going to have to do is where is it that we have to do? Give me just a moment while I find the code that works for this one. There you go. All right, so first of all, we have to actually register this nav menu, and it's the function that does this is very simple. It's register nav menu. Okay. There are two separate functions for, there are two types of functions that do the same thing. One of them is menus and the other one is menu. They both do exactly the same thing, but the second one, menus, takes an array of arguments instead of just one single set of arguments, in case you want to register several menus at the same time. So let's do this. The first argument that we take is the slug that you're going to give your menu. This is going to be the name that's going to that you will be able to call in order to import that menu somewhere else. Okay, so I'm just going to call it main menu, and then second, we're going to say the description of this menu. I'm going to call this one main menu. What's the name? What was the name of our template? Hyperspace. So main hyperspace. Main hyperspace menu. There you go. So now if I save this right here, and I have to run this one, of course. And where do I run it? To run it, remember that in WordPress you have to register your functions in a certain part of the WordPress cycle. So we're going to add an action to the part of the WordPress cycle in init. This means that this function is going to be run at the beginning of the WordPress cycle. And I'm just going to, in the second parameter, the second argument right here is just the name of the function that we want to run. So this is going to register this main menu, and now the location of that main menu is being registered, and I'm going to be able to see it down here. So if I refresh this, I now have main hyperspace menu as an available menu to add these items to. So let's customize this menu. I have home, I have a sample page apparently, and let's add our test page too. So I click add to menu. I'm just going to modify this right here, test page, and there you go. So now we hit and save menu, and if we go back to here and we hit refresh, we're not going to see any changes, because we haven't actually, even though we have declared the menu and we have added a WordPress menu and tied it to our declared menu, I mean, how would WordPress know that this right here is what's supposed to be shown up here? And that's very simple, but we have to add a little bit more of PHP code up here, and we have to do that inside the navbar.php. So to do this, we're going to get rid of this one, and we're going to add our code right here. It's very simple. All you have to do is to tell WordPress that this right here is the location where your previously defined menu is going to be shown. And you can do this several times. You can say, oh, I want my menu to be shown here, and then you go to the footer and you be like, oh yeah, so I also want to be shown here, so you will do the same thing that I'm doing here, but in the footer as well. So let's get right into this. The function is called WP nav menu, and it takes several arguments in the form of an array. So the first one is going to be the theme location. Theme location. And the theme location, well, what this is, actually, I think it's with an underscore. There you go. The theme location, what this one means is that which registered theme are you going to show? And the one which we're going to show is the one that we created just a moment ago in functions.php. This one right here. So the one that we're going to show is this one, main hyperspace menu. And remember I told you about this log that you had to keep in mind. So it's this one that you have to import right here. There you go. So we're including the nav theme location main menu. So let's see how that looks now. Now I have commented out the hard-coded one, and I have added the main menu one with WordPress. Let's see how that looks. It's probably gonna lose some style. Yep, we have missed some style. But we see that the elements are there. So how do we fix this style? So let's see. Inside here, we can do inspect, and let's see. So we're inside a UL, and we actually want it to be inside a nav, because the previous menu that was working was inside a nav tag. So let's see if we can do that. To do that, I am going to have to add another argument right here. And that argument is going to be, container. Container, and I'm going to say that the container is going to be a nav tag. So let's refresh right now, and it seems to be working now. So now let's see how it looks. So we have our menu that's being added inside a UL and inside a nav. But for some reason, there's a class that's being added here. I'm not sure if that's causing some problems. No, it wasn't. But I don't know why these little lines to the left are being shown. Let's see. As you can see, the links are working, right? So we have our home page, we have our sample page, and we have our test page. That's because all of that is being done right here, and it's being like automatically included through WordPress. So we have this, we have all of this, right? But yeah, I don't know what, I mean, you can take that one out later. I'm not going to stop to do that one. And this one right here already takes us to the home page, which is very good too. And yeah, just to show you something. You see that so far we added this href, and we just added a slash to say that we want to go to the root of the WordPress, the home page. But while this would work in most situations, it will not work if your WordPress installation is located inside a subdirectory in your website. So for example, if your WordPress installation is inside my awesome website /WordPress, this right here would only return to my awesome website. It would not return to my awesome website /WordPress. So a good thing to do right here is to, instead of actually do that, which is what you would do in a regular application, is to add a PHP function called, if I'm not mistaken, it's homepage, probably home URL, I think so. And let's see how that looks. If I refresh right here, and I click here, it's doing nothing. Maybe I have to echo this one out. Yeah, so there you go. So this one actually just returns it. It doesn't echo it out, so I had to echo it out. But the thing is that right now, what we're doing is that this right here, it goes back to the WordPress database and it asks WordPress for the homepage URL. And in case it's not the actual root of the domain, it will return the actual front page where the WordPress installation is located. So yeah, it's better to use it this way. So there you go. Now we have a working template, a working theme. We have a working menu with it. And actually, I think we're pretty much done. I mean, if we wanted to do a little bit more things, we could probably include some ACF fields, but I'm going to show that in another video. Be sure to watch it, to subscribe in order to get that video when it's out. Probably gonna upload it next week, but yeah, just to buckle up, we have taken this template right here, which was just an HTML template with some JS and CSS, and we have transformed it into an actually working WordPress theme. And we have added some very cool functionalities that I hope that you will find useful in your job, which is that we have added certain functions to register our menu. We have added our scripts and styles through the WordPress cycle to make things more neat and organized. We have also added our styles and scripts through a bundler, which is Webpack, in order to make everything faster and in order to only include two assets instead of adding one single asset for every single CSS or script that we want to include. What else have we done? We have configured it to use TypeScript and SASS, but that one was more explained in the previous video about Webpack. And what else? We also saw how to use template parts and how to modularize your code to make it more readable, and how to show certain templates in a conditional statement with the ternary operator. What else do we have here? And how to use a basic templating system with singular and front page. But remember to check my video on templates in order to actually get a more in-depth understanding of how this works. So there you go. I think that's pretty much it. I hope you found this video interesting and useful, and that you will put this to work in your job, and that you will write better code today than you did yesterday. So it has been my pleasure to be here with you, and I shall tell you that I will see you next time.